Right, so we are trying to fix the Cincinnati Reds. Going to play every game in spring training and every regular season game this year. Throw every pitch. So we're trying to make the team competitive. All right, so first of all, a couple of things that we did, some trades, if you will. All right, so um, let's pull up our trade list here. Okay, so I tried to make as realistic trades as possible, so I'll explain these real quick. We'll go over the roster. So acquired Johan Camargo, Double Herrera, and Sir Anthony Dominguez, a third baseman, a center fielder, and another outfielder for Mike Moustakas and Aristides Aquino. So we took on a little bit of salary from their end to get rid of Mike Moustakas' contract because he is just bad. And Aristides Aquino is bad, but still has a little bit of potential. And it's possible they both catch fire and end up working out for the Orioles. But they shed some payroll um, for some guys that could potentially help them. It was ultimately a fair deal, maybe a little bit in my favor. And then Herrera and Camargo probably won't make the team. They probably will elect free agency because I think they both have Herrera has over 5 years of MLB experience. So he could potentially be picked up off waivers if he doesn't make the team out of spring training. But Sir Anthony Dominguez is a pretty capable bullpen arm. A big trade here acquired Brian Reynolds, one of the best center fielders in the game and a switch hitter, which I love, for Chase Petty, who is a pretty good pitching prospect that we just traded for in this offseason. Nick Senzel, because I think he's a bust, and Jose Barrero, because I hate to say it, but I also think he's a bust. Might have been an overpay, especially if those three players pan out, but Brian Reynolds is the real deal. Another pretty big trade got Jorge Polanco, third baseman from the Twins, also a switch hitter for Vladimir Gutierrez, who, I mean, he was going to contribute to the team this year, but you'll see I signed some guys in the offseason. So uh, he's replaceable. He's an average starter, I think. But traded for him, Austin Hendrick, outfielder, our former first round pick, but he hasn't really developed the way people thought he would. So I'm okay with it. And then outfielder Alan Serta. Serta was kind of a rising player in the system, but he was still a few years away. I tried to make a point of not trading any prospects that could help us this year or the next, but anyone who was more than really a year away, I pretty much traded. So we do still have some prospects, but I was okay parting with Serta because he was a little bit away. We got our DH here, Anthony Santander from the Orioles. Another trade. Oh no, we haven't traded with the Orioles yet. Okay. Anyways, we got him from the Orioles for Graham Ashcraft and Reese Hines, two kind of sea-level prospects that we had that are more than a year away. So Santander cannot field. He's an outfielder technically. I think he can play first. He can't field very well, but he's a switch hitter with power. So he's like our permanent DH basically. Didn't really want to. The last two trades here was more so out of necessity of not wanting to trade any of our top tier prospects that are, a year, just maybe a tad over away. So kind of compromised on these last two trades because we used up so much ammo in the previous deals. But we got outfielder Jordan Lupo from Arizona for shortstop Jose Torres, which was kind of a sea-level prospect. Reaver San Martin, he's not been great. And relief pitcher Dari Moreta. They're both, kind of sea-level prospects too. Obviously, Reaver had a pretty good start against the Dodgers last night, but I think he'll be average overall. Might have been a slight overpay for, on paper, a reserve outfielder in Jordan Lupo, but he smashes lefties and he plays a competent right field. Tyler Naquin is the opposite of that. He plays a competent right field, but he smashes righties, can't hit the other. Jordan Lupo is exactly the same way, but the other way around. So the two of them are going to platoon, is what I'm trying to say. Only position on the roster that we're platooning. And then we needed a backup catcher. a competent backup catcher for when Tyler Stevenson needs breaks or he gets, God forbid, injured. So probably a little bit of an overpay here. But we got Francisco Mejia from Tampa Bay for outfielder Michael Ciani and third baseman Ellie De La Cruz, two high C-level prospects, possibly B-level, that I hate to trade both of those guys for someone who's going to be the backup catcher, but Francisco Mejia is 26. He's got a potential, he's a switch hitter. So when Tyler Stevenson ultimately moves to first base, which is likely to happen because Joey Votto retires in the coming years, Mejia will potentially be a starter. So, and then real quick, well, we'll do this part on the roster. Okay, so here's what our starting pitching looks like. So Tyler Mahle, Luis Castillo, Mike Minor anchor the rotation. We signed Mike Fultinuix. He used to be really good for Arizona. Not been so good lately, but he was okay last year. 1.26 WHIP. We did that overpay for him a little bit. 1 year, 3.9 million, kind of prove it deal. He'll get a chance to take that fourth or fifth spot in the rotation. Justin Dunn, Nick Lodolo, and Hunter Green hopefully will perform well in spring and have a good shot at that fourth and fifth spot. But if not, we've got Fultiwitz, we've got Godley. They can fill in there. We did sign Cole Stewart to a 1 year, 1.5 mil deal. He only has 2 years of service time, so he'll probably slot in down at Louisville if we need. Also, let's see. Fultwitz, he has over 5, so if he doesn't make the roster for some reason out of spring training, he potentially could be taken off waivers or elect free agency. One of the two. But with that being said, the rest of the roster is what it is. Godley also could go to the minors. Nothing great down here, but it's serviceable. All right, relief pitching. Well, let's actually start with closers. So we signed Trevor Rosenthal. He's been injured, but he was good last year. So we signed him to a 1 year, $3.8 million deal. We'll let him start out as our closer. TJ Antone is injured and out for the year, so he is not in the discussion. Lucas Sims, of course, or Anthony Dominguez. Been pretty good, very hard thrower. He'll make the pin likely. Justin Wilson, Luis Sessa, Hunter Strickland. We, of course, have Tony Santillan, Art Warren, these guys down here. Hunter Wood, we did sign him to a 1 year, $1.4 million deal. So he will either make the team. He also has options. He could end up in the minors. Catchers, of course, we have Tyler Stevenson, and then we traded for Francisco Mejia. Good prospect here, and Matthew Nelson, but he may or may not be ready just yet, but could contribute later in the year. Aramis Garcia and Chucky Robinson are going to be our backup 40-man roster catchers for now. Joey Votto, of course. Colin Moran is, as of now, on the 40, but very much on the bubble because I would like to see Jake Bauers a little bit more. And also, Colin doesn't play a lot of positions that makes him super versatile and helpful. And I'm not going to put him in the outfield or let him play third because he has no speed and he has no arm. But he's there in case Votto goes down. All right, second base, of course, we've got Jonathan India. We've got Donovan Solano, Max Schrock. Good depth here at second base. We have Leonardo Rivas, Tyler Callahan, and Alejo Lopez. Alejo Lopez could be one of the first added to the 40 if, like, Colin Moran doesn't make it, for example. If Colin gets off to a bad spring, that could very well happen. Third base, so here's our newly acquired Jorge Polanco. Brandon Drury is on the roster, and Johan Camargo. Shortstop, we're going to hand the keys over to Kyle Farmer. We do have options, to move people around. These guys can all play short, but as of right now, it's Kyle Farmer's. Matt Mclean, first round pick last year. He is solid. All right, so microphone went out, but as I was saying, Matt Mclean could be he could contribute this year, but we'll just have to see. Um, JT Riddle, he's kind of depth, and he's from Kentucky. Um, Left field, Tommy Pham, of course. Jake Fraley could make the roster, but it's looking unlikely. We did designate TJ Friedel for assignment. We'll see what happens with him. Brian Reynolds, big acquisition. Um, Adubel Herrera, he could make the team. It just depends how things play out. Jay Allen is a good big time prospect, really. He could contribute to the roster later this year. Albert Mora Jr., he could certainly fill in and contribute at some point if need be. And then right field, we have Tyler Naquin. We have Jordan Lupo that we traded for to platoon with Naquin. And Anthony Santander, who we traded for to be our DH. And lastly, this is what the roster is going to look like. Of course, we have DH and all-time DH on. So this is going to be the lineup as of now. We'll see how spring training changes it against right-handed pitchers. India at second, India in the first slot, and leadoff. Reynolds batting second, Votto third, Polanco batting cleanup, Tyler Stevenson 5, Tommy Pham 6, Anthony Santander 7, Tyler Naquin 8, Kyle Farmer 9, and then basically the exact same lineup except versus left-handed pitching, except Jordan Lupo is subbed in there. The bench, it's going to probably be Tyler Naquin. Well, actually, we need to look at it this way. It's probably going to be Tyler Naquin, Francisco Mejia, Santander, and somebody else. Good competition for that last infield spot. Well, it would of course be Donovan Solano, and then somebody, Drury, Schrock, someone like that. And then pitching, so Tyler Mahle, Luis Castillo, Mike Minor, Voltwitz, Hunter Green to start with, and then over here we have a plethora of options in the bullpen.